I first saw him kneeling in the garden next door, pulling weeds with his bare hands, sweat glistening on his forehead. He wore plain clothes, gray hoodie, dusty jeans, and had a gentle smile when I waved. "New neighbors?" I asked. He stood up, tall and calm. "Yeah. Just moved in yesterday." I welcomed him warmly, but before he could introduce himself, Hoa, the HOA president, came marching over, clipboard in hand. She didn't even say hello. Her eyes scanned him like a barcode, and with a tight smile she said, "We usually ask contractors to park further down the street." His brow lifted. "Contractor?" Hoa gestured toward the lawn. "Landscaping, right?" He paused for a second, then chuckled. "Actually, I live here." Hoa blinked, confused. "Oh, you're the new tenant?" He nodded, still smiling. "No, I own the house." The air shifted. You could feel the discomfort radiating from her skin. I watched her force a laugh, lips tight like she was biting down on her pride. "Oh, I just assumed. I mean, well, welcome to the neighborhood." He extended a hand. "I'm Elijah." She hesitated, then shook it, quick and limp, like touching something cold. I remember thinking, she's rattled. And she doesn't even know who he is yet. Later that evening, curiosity got the best of me. I googled Elijah, tech CEO, and there it was: Elijah Morgan, founder and CEO of Nexera Labs, a multi-billion-dollar AI company. Forbes 30 under 30. TEDx speaker. Philanthropist. Widower. And now, apparently, our new neighbor. The irony hit me like a punch. Hoa, with her obsession over rules, appearances, and status, had mistaken one of the most powerful people in our state for a gardener. The next morning, I overheard her talking to Nancy over her white picket fence. "He seems polite," she said, then lowered her voice. "But we really don't know what kind of people they are." I mean, he was literally on his knees in the dirt. That says something, doesn't it? I felt sick. It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it. The tone. The assumptions. The way she clung to her power like a crown. What she didn't realize was that she wasn't just poking the bear, she was mocking the lion. And lions don't forget. By the end of that week, Hoa had made it her mission to keep an eye on Elijah. I saw her circling his house almost daily, scribbling things into her HOA notepad like a detective no one hired. Once, she even knocked on his door to complain that his trash bins were out for too long, only to realize they'd been out for just 20 minutes. The thing is, Elijah never raised his voice. Never fought back. He just nodded, smiled, and thanked her for the reminder. That seemed to enrage her more than anything. His calmness, his poise, it made her feel powerless. Then came the barbecue incident. It was a sunny Saturday. Elijah had invited several neighbors over for a small cookout: grilled ribs, lemonade, jazz playing softly from a Bluetooth speaker. Nothing wild. But Hoa showed up, uninvited, arms crossed and scowl loaded. "This is not a permitted event," she snapped. According to HOA regulations, any gathering with over 6 guests requires written approval. Someone chuckled. "Come on, Hoa. It's just food and music." But Hoa wasn't amused. She looked at Elijah. Some people think they're above the rules. Elijah didn't flinch. He simply said, "I read the guidelines. We're in compliance." Her voice tightened. "Well, I make the final call." And then she said it loud enough for everyone to hear. "Maybe where you're from this kind of behavior is normal, but around here, we expect standards." Silence. Every head turned. You could feel the tension crackle in the air. I caught my breath. Elijah stared at her, and for the first time, his smile faded. He tilted his head slightly and asked, "And where exactly do you think I'm from?" Hoa blinked. I didn't mean. But she did. That night, the group chat exploded. People were furious. A neighbor who worked in HR called it textbook racial bias. Someone else had recorded the whole exchange. Within hours, the clip was being shared on Facebook, then Reddit, then Twitter. "She messed with the wrong man," Nancy texted me. "She doesn't know who he is." But I did. Elijah wasn't just another resident. He was respected, powerful, and he had allies. And now, he had a reason. The clip went viral faster than anyone expected. By Monday morning, HOA Karen was trending on TikTok. The video showed Hoa wagging her finger, making that awful comment, "Maybe where you're from," then Elijah's sharp reply, "And where exactly do you think I'm from?" It hit a nerve. Millions of views, thousands of comments, most of them not kind. But the wildest part? She still didn't get it. At the HOA meeting that night, she strutted into the clubhouse like she was untouchable, clipboard tucked under one arm, phone in the other. "Let's keep this brief," she said, eyes darting past Elijah like he wasn't even there. She started off with some nonsense about driveway stains and unauthorized paint colors, but no one was listening. Every seat was full. Even people who usually skipped meetings showed up. Elijah sat quietly in the back row, dressed in a crisp navy blazer. Calm. Composed. Watching. Then, during the open floor session, he stood up. "I'd like to introduce myself," he said, walking slowly to the front. "My name is Elijah Morgan. I recently moved into Lot 23 with my daughter, Ava. Some of you know me already. Some have made assumptions." I could feel the room tighten. "I'm the CEO of Nexera Labs," he continued. "We employ over 8,000 people nationwide. And I moved here for peace, for community, not to be harassed, profiled, or treated like I don't belong." Gasps. Murmurs. Even the HOA secretary dropped her pen. Hoa stiffened. "This isn't the place to make speeches." Elijah turned to her, completely calm. "No, this is the exact place. Because this HOA represents the neighborhood. And if the leadership doesn't reflect our values, then it's time to reconsider who's leading." Dead silence. Then someone clapped. One by one, the room joined in. Hoa stood frozen. That fake smile glued to her face, but her eyes were wide. Shaken. She looked like someone whose world had just cracked in half. And didn't know how to stop it from collapsing further. Afterward, I saw her standing alone outside, scrolling through her phone with trembling hands. She knew. The tide had turned. And there was no stopping what was coming next. The next morning, HOA inboxes were flooded. People were demanding an emergency vote to review Hoa's leadership. A petition started circulating. Within 48 hours, it had over 80 signatures, half the neighborhood. The message was clear, they wanted her out. Hoa, of course, panicked. She suddenly went from iron-fisted dictator to sugary sweet. Knocked on doors. Brought muffins. Smiled so hard her cheeks trembled. But we'd all seen the video. We'd heard the tone in her voice. No amount of banana bread could scrub that away. And Elijah? He remained quiet. No retaliation. No threats. Just that same calm presence. He still walked Ava to school every morning, watered his garden in the evening, waved to neighbors. But behind the scenes, he was being courted. Reporters wanted interviews. Diversity groups reached out. A city councilwoman even stopped by with her staff. It was clear, Elijah wasn't just a man wronged. He had become a symbol. Then, Hoa made her fatal mistake. She sent an email to the board, one she must have typed in frustration and forgot to delete. It read, "This is why I didn't want this type of person moving in here. They don't follow rules, and now everyone's making him a hero just because of his skin color." She hit reply all. By noon, the email had leaked. By 2 p.m., it was on Twitter. By evening, it made local news. HOA president under fire for racist email to board members. The neighborhood was stunned. Even her few defenders fell silent. Some pretended they never supported her. Others claimed they didn't know she was like that. But we all knew. We just hadn't seen it so raw. The HOA board called an emergency meeting. Hoa wasn't invited. She tried to walk in anyway, but 2 members stopped her at the door. She yelled. She cried. She accused Elijah of ruining her life. But no one listened. She had crossed the line, and now, there was no going back. Watching her storm away that night, I felt a strange mix of things. Relief. Justice. Sadness, maybe. But mostly? I felt like we were finally waking up. Her name was stripped from the HOA directory. Her chair at the monthly meetings sat empty. No one really knew what happened. Some said she went to stay with a sister out of state, others whispered about lawsuits, therapy, even resignation letters that never got signed. The neighborhood slowly returned to normal. The energy shifted. Lighter. Quieter. People talked more. Waved more. It was like we'd all come through something together and came out clearer on the other side. And Elijah? He never gloated. Never posted. Never even commented publicly. He could have destroyed her reputation with a single tweet, but he never did. Instead, he spent his days walking Ava to the park, working quietly from home, and showing up to HOA meetings not as a force of power, but as a neighbor. One morning, I saw them again in their front yard. Ava was laughing, chasing a butterfly, and Elijah was planting sunflowers along the fence line. That was when I saw her. Hoa. Standing across the street, alone. No clipboard. No sunglasses. Just a woman older than she looked before, smaller somehow, clutching a tin of cookies with shaking hands. She stood there for what felt like forever before crossing. I watched from my porch, barely breathing. She approached Elijah. He looked up. Saw her. Stood slowly. They didn't speak at first. Just stared. Then I saw her hold out the tin with both hands. A small, silent offering. She said something I couldn't hear, but I saw the words form, "I'm sorry." Elijah nodded. Took the cookies gently. "Thank you," he said. Soft. Sincere. She turned to go, but he stopped her. "Stay a moment." They sat on the edge of the planter box. Talked. Not long. But long enough. It didn't erase what happened. It didn't make it all right. But maybe it was a start. Because forgiveness isn't always about forgetting. Sometimes it's about choosing peace over pride. And giving people, ourselves included, the chance to be better.